Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Soccer Talk, Football Talk with myself, CT, and Danny. Welcome there.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're going to be having a good time here. I'm going to be taking a look here. Today is December 29. We've come to the end of the year 2025. We're going to be focusing on football and what happened in 2025 in football, but exactly where we are right now in football while looking up to the new year 2026. That's going to be a big year. Is the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So it's going to be a big year. It's going to be hosted in Canada, US of A, and Mexico. So it's going to be a big year. We're going to be looking forward to that. On here today, we're going to be taking a look at the African World Cup qualifiers, the AFCON, the English Premier League, and of course, get Danny's thoughts on listener question. Taking the rounds out here. But Danny, let's get right into it. Before I actually begin, I want to just ask you, before we get into what we want to talk about, how would you rate or view what were your standout points from 2025 in terms of football?
Oh, okay. I think first off, compliments of the season to all the viewers. It's been a long year, but then we are at the end of it, and we hope that our reflections on what the year has looked like would either be in tandem with what they think, or where there are conflicting views, they can leave them in the comment section. So as pertaining to football for 2025, I think it's been a good year. As at least we saw half of or a bit of what Liverpool carried over from 2024 and then winning the league this year, and then the new season has equally started too, and things are now shaping up as they should in terms of the league. The qualifiers were also being played, as in the World Cup qualifiers were being played against the big year that is upcoming, which is 2026. At least in the case of this channel, we are zeroing in heavily on the African contingency because these are the teams that are going to be representative of the continent. And I think so far with the teams that have qualified, they are good enough representatives for the continent, and then hopefully Congo can join. That is if the current situations they're having with CAF and FIFA is ironed out nicely. So I think football in 2025 it's been good. Nothing exceptional, but then it's been very regular, with a sprinkle of joy going into the coming year, because the big one is coming and the biggest event in football is upon us. So 2025, if I'm going to maybe rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's been a very good 7, and it is a good prelude into what the coming year looks like, and I can't wait.
Any surprises for you? Maybe Ousmane Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or, PSG's dominance, Chelsea's Club World Cup dominance as well. In that, is there anything that you would say was shocking, surprising in terms of how the year played out?
And I think as the highlights you pointed out are very good highlights to look back on, and I think with PSG's dominance, we saw it coming at least at the turn of last season when they, I wouldn't say miraculously, but when they found themselves in the top 8, they found their way to become the 8th in the new league format in the UEFA Champions League. And then they just went on a roll from that point on. We could just tell that this was a team that was growing in confidence. And evidently, it just showed in almost every facet and every tournament they competed in. And Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or, I think, was not on anybody's bingo card. But I think if there's any surprise, it would be Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or, because if you had asked anybody before last season started that who's going to win the Ballon d'Or, under absolutely no circumstance, right, the odds were I don't even think Dembele would be part of, if there was going to be a poll, he'd be part of the poll, right? But then that is the beauty of the game, where when there are situations where nobody rears their head, you grab like the opportunity by the neck and then just ride on it fully, and that is what Dembele did. As to whether he's going to be a one-season wonder in that sense, we'll leave that to time. But so far, that was like one of the biggest surprises of the season so far. And Chelsea's performance at the Club World Cup, I think it was okay. I think we Chelsea over time with I think would delve deeper into the current state of Chelsea. But over time it looks like a tournament team. So I wasn't surprised by the turnout because that is in Chelsea's DNA. When it matters most, they tend to show up. So it wasn't as big of a surprise because it is something that Chelsea has done consistently over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I thought it was a fantastic year. PSG's dominance, Chelsea, you FIFA testing out the FIFA Club World Cup, so that was something definitely to see how that played out. Varying opinions, but I think there's something there. It seems like there's always an audience if you put football on. So maybe at this point we might just give it to the game really being that big or that important to people. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the Premier League. I'm going to take a look at the Premier League. We're at the end of the 2025 here. And as the league stands, before we go into the New Year fixtures, we got 18 matches played for every team in the English Premier League. I'm just going to go through the top six here and a few notable positions for some teams that we might be looking around the table. I'm like, what's going on? Arsenal tops the league right now with 42 points in 18 games, 13 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. Man City, right there with them. 18 games played, 40 points, 4 losses, 1 draw, 13 wins for Manchester City. Surprisingly, Aston Villa is third position, 39 points, just 3 points off of the top. With 18 games played, 12 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. I think that's also pretty notably considering Aston Villa didn't start the season, didn't get off great to start the year, but they're right there, 3 points off of the top. Liverpool, fourth position, started the season a whole lot better. Currently, fourth position, 18 games played, 32 points, 10 wins, 2 draws, 6 losses. And to top out the top 6, we got Chelsea, fifth position, 29 points, 18 games played, 8 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. Manchester United right there at 29 points as well in 18 games played, 8 wins, 5 losses, 5 draws as well. I would say notably Sunderland is 7th position, 28 points. And then you go down, Newcastle is 14th position at 23 points. And just to cap up the Premier League where it is right now, Erling Haaland leads comfortably in the goal scorer chart, 19 goals scored in the English Premier League. Igo Thiago for Brentford, 11 goals, and Antoine Semenyo, who is probably on the move in January with 9 goals. Let's start from Arsenal. Currently, Arsenal are top of the table. Let's start with Arsenal. What do you think about Arsenal's season so far and their chances of winning the Premier League title? Because that's the only goal for Arsenal this season. What do you think?
I think it is what it is. Arsenal is where they are because this is evidence of 5 years of consistent work with one manager. So the team, the Arsenal team being on top of the table is just reminiscent of how much work they have put in over the course of time. As to whether they are going to win the league or otherwise, we have to leave that to time, even though I'm not placing my bets on them. Largely because Arsenal has found a way, I think, impressively to grind out wins. Over the past 2 seasons when they've come second twice, there was always that talk about they like to do it pretty. And that is what leads them down the ditch because they are not able to close things out properly. But when you look at their last 2 to 3 results in the league, they just grind out a 1-0 win, a 2-1 win last minute, and what have you. And I think that is the tenacious spirit of a winner, of someone who's seeking to win. It doesn't have to be pretty, you just need the points. And that is what Arsenal is doing currently. The gap has closed considerably, but again, the season is still evolving. I think oftentimes we get a clearer picture of how things are likely going to go around February. So for now, things are still evolving. Arsenal is doing pretty well based on their own standards over the course of the past few seasons. And we'll leave things to time as to whether they can see the season out because it is a must. Like there's no other excuse that can be given. They bought one of the hottest strikers in Europe from the past season. They made some very impressive reinforcements in certain areas of the pitch, from the midfield to bringing from the midfield
So
with
very cheesy as well
a
coming
very
in.
changed house about. I remember his name, but the guy from Spain that joined them in midfield,
Oh yeah, Zubimendi.
Subimendi, right? They made certain like reinforcements in the team, which now paints, and then they have one of the best defense in England and arguably in Europe, right? Because they barely concede. I think they've conceded on 11 goals so far, which is impressive, at least again per Arsenal standards. So when we had to maybe go with a checklist of how a team should perform over the course of a season and then to top the league, Arsenal seems to have checked almost every one of it. And it remains to be seen whether they can maintain momentum, especially in the curve, that is December and January, and see where they stand in February. Because when you have a club can attest, when you have City behind your back, chasing you like boot for boot, it's often a scary thing. So it remains to be seen whether they would have the mental fortitude to see out the season or otherwise. I'm not placing my bets on them, but then we leave that to time to see.
Okay, absolutely. Let's take a look at Manchester City trailing Arsenal here with 2 points behind. How would you say they have done rebounding from what many would consider a disastrous season last year, just because of how things played out? Ended up the season pretty well, but you would say they had a stretch 2024 going into 2025 that was really rough. Rebounding solid this year, tapping on the heels of Arsenal as well. How would you consider Man City so far this season, up till now and going into next year? What you think of this team, considering there's no longer any De Bruyne this year? You got Tijani Reinders coming in, you got Ryan Cherki coming in, playing a whole lot better. Phil Foden kind of finding some form after like a year where we were kind of looking out and asking where is Phil Foden. Where do you think Manchester City is right
now? I think with everything you've mentioned, I have consistently made this thing very clear. There's only one superstar. Maybe now there are two superstars, but over the course of Guardiola's time at Man City, he's been the major super. He's the attraction, right? Now we can throw in Haaland, and that would be a justifiable argument. There are only two superstars in the team, so the personnel would come and go, and I think that is how he has consistently built the team, where there are standout performers, yes, De Bruyne and then likes De Bruyne, Aguero, Bernardo Silva. You'd have your standout performers every now and then, but then the main star is still Pep. And having Pep around and then Pep being on your tails on the table, Arteta knows what is chasing him. And as you rightly mentioned, there are conversations or there are rumors about this being his last season or possibly the coming one being his last season. And I am more than concretely sure, given that man's psychopathic tendencies, that he'd want to win something before he leaves. That man is just, and I'm saying psychopathic in a most flattering way. Right? He knows what he's about. You can argue all you want against his checkbook style. Chelsea has spent almost 2 billion, and there's nothing to write home about. Right?
now? The Club World Cup, and a Champions League in the last 4 years.
What is Club World Cup? For a team like Chelsea, we should be talking about, like, we'll get to Chelsea, but
Okay.
the crux of it all is Pep is the one chasing you. And then there's the robot who's firing on all cylinders. Right? He's just unstoppable. He's an immovable force. He's there. You know you are guaranteed at least 30 goals from him. And if you have a firepower like Haaland in the team, and then there are others like Tijani Reinders who seem to be now finding their feet and like finding a certain sense of consistency, then you should know that it's going to be a title chase to look forward to. With Pep being the common denominator here, Arteta would be looking over his shoulders with so much fear because if Pep is on your tails, you just know what's coming for you. So that is why, and this is even part of the major reasons why I feel Arsenal won't be able to see this through. Because I think the chance they had was last season and then they just couldn't take it. So with Pep back in the mix, I'm sorry, it's not
So,
happening.
okay, we're gonna get into predictions at some point during the podcast here. About for the top four, right? We're gonna line that up. We're just kind of taking a review of the team. I think Pep has done a really good job of stabilizing this team. Um, Based on the last podcast we had, I had all my concerns about De Bruyne leaving this team in midfield, and also obviously there was an APB out for Phil Foden. He has rebounded pretty well over the last about 10 matches in the Premier League this season. So you can say that's a new player added here, considering his performances from last year. So I think that has Haaland is just Mr. Dependable, and somehow the midfield has kept up. Tijani Reinders, Ryan Chekic seems to um, be fitting in nicely. The defense has not been horrible. I'm not sure what's happening with defensively, but they've been really solid this year for Man City as well. We're going to go to the next couple of teams here. We're going to start with Chelsea. How would you view Chelsea's season so far? And also, what are your expectations for Chelsea, considering we have not gotten to January yet, or we're just heading into January?
I think historically, when was it? Somewhere last week, I saw a statistic that showed that anytime Chelsea tops the league by December, they win it. And it was 5 out of 5.
They win it.
Yes.
Okay.
You can check historically. Anytime Chelsea tops the table by December, they win it. So if Chelsea is in a title challenge, you'd see it from how we fare in December, because that is when the team tends to crumble. It has been the case for as long as I can remember, since 2017, when Chelsea won the league. There's just been that downward spiral that has just taken over from that point on to now. So seeing Chelsea struggle in December, it is not new to me. And sadly, I think this time around it is self-inflicted, because the recruitments that the sporting directors have done over the course of time has been abysmal, completely abysmal. Like the kinds of mediocre players that have been brought into the team, all in the name of one day would turn a profit on you. I just don't get. But I think over time, I have come to terms with the fact that the club I knew growing up and the club I fell in love with in 2004 is gone.
I think that club was done with Abramovich gone.
It is gone, fair and simple, right? Because on the flip side, when this new ownership came in, they splashed the cash. But then you look at the current squad, and then you look at how much was spent on certain players, and you ask yourself, is it that there was money laundering going on? What's like, because with the kinds of money that I've been, if you spend about 2 billion on a squad, you can't tell me, and you're telling me you're dependent on an academy product that you at some point deemed as not fit enough to play for the club to marshal your defense, which is Chaloba. Then it begs a lot of questions. You look at the front line, abysmal. You look at the current left wing options, Ganacho and Gittins, two hideous twins. Like you look at the right wing, Pedro Neto, a terrible, terrible, terrible. I call him Pentium 1. His processing speed in the head is Pentium 1. One of the least intelligent players I've ever had the displeasure of watching. And I'm like, what is going on here? Right? So it's not like the cash doesn't exist, but there are just too many incompetent people in the hierarchy that are taking the club down the drain. And it's unfortunate, because you can't be developing 10 talents concurrently. It doesn't work that way. You are trying to go against the laws of football. If you are bringing in promising talents, there should be established ones to guide them. But then Chelsea seems to be doing the opposite, and expecting something like magic to happen. It doesn't work that way, and it is reflecting in how the team has performed over the course of time. And I think there was.
So, like from what you're saying about the recruitment strategy, would you? So when you look at the whole squad, I would list out a few players, right? That Chelsea currently have. We got Cole Palmer, you got Esteval, João Pedro, Malo Gusto, Cucurella. Amongst these players that I called, is there any potential for? I think Cucurella is a world-class player, but amongst the other players, are there any players not living up to expectations or too young, or what is like what do you see in these players I call? There are just a lot of players in this Chelsea squad that obviously might not be up to par. But you see what they did in the Champions League, in to Barcelona and stuff. Sometimes it's like
Usually,
it's
when people cite Barcelona, cite Arsenal, I'm like,
PSG.
no, it is Chelsea. It is in the club's DNA. If it is a big team, forget about it. If it's a big team, because that is where also big teams also show themselves. And a classic example is Manchester United. For all their woes over the course of time, you can look at their big games that they usually play. Manchester, even against Man City, they beat Man City a lot. Even in Man City's like prime, when Man City was like Man City, Solskjaer was beating them left, right, center. Because there's a certain pride that comes with playing a big game. You do not need extra motivation, because as players, that is where the eyeballs are fixated on you, right? So the the inner drive to, or the innate drive to play on top of your game is very intrinsic. But
So would
then
this be a motivation play thing? Is it that when the Chiefs are all in, that they have the quality to do it, or is it just lack of depth and consistency for Chelsea squad?
I think for the kinds of players that the club has signed, there's a guarantee that you're going to get a lot of inconsistent performances, because these are a good number of them are young and a good number of them too are average. It's so in instances where they are playing a big game, like Barcelona comes with absolutely no respect for Chelsea, because they see themselves as co-equal. So they play their game. And with this, a coach can easily strategize and then play against them in the same vein, because it is co-equals meeting. But then out of all the games you play in a season, you play the smaller teams more than the other. And the smaller teams come in with a certain degree of respect because they're playing Chelsea. But on the flip side, they see that your players are not as good. So you look at even the most recent game against Aston Villa. Chelsea was all over them in the first half. Typically, that game should end like 3-0 in the first half. Unai Emery gave you the respect. They gave Chelsea the respect that Chelsea deserves, because Chelsea is playing at home. They come second half, they're like, it looks like you're not serious enough. Brings in Onana, brings in Oli Watkins, turns the game on its head. Chelsea were just caught. You just get to see that these are very inexperienced players, because under pressure, they do not know what to do. And this has been a classic situation that has permeated all through the years that the Bluco team came into, or the Bluco ownership came into being, right? And I don't blame the kids so much, because again, you need people to guide your path. And one of the biggest disappointments have been Enzo Fernandez. Caicedo over the course of time has lived up to the bill. We are seeing what we paid for. Enzo, I don't know whether it is the coaches that do not know where to play him. I don't know what the problem is. But he has been a big disappointment. Is he a good player? Yes. Are we expecting certain things from him? Yes. Are we getting it? No. Right? So it feels like a square peg in a round hole. Is he better off somewhere else where he'll be, where a system is not built around him, or the system doesn't necessarily require him to be on top of his game so much, but then one where he can be a part of it, and even if you take him out, he won't feel the effect as much. But with him being a part of it, to add a certain layer of panache to your team, right? Compared to someone like Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, for all intents and purposes, he was a surprise. I'm sure he was even a surprise to him, or to himself too, right? And I think he's been used as a case study, even though he's the outlier, by the sporting directors to keep doing the lunacy they are doing with the recruitment. Because the co-farmers will come once, because they've signed almost 30 players. And out of the 30, you can just pinpoint 2 that you say, okay, these people have delivered bang for your buck. Cole Palmer and then Caicedo. Finish.
What about Enzo Fernandez?
That's why I'm like, Enzo Fernandez is hot and cold.
Cucurella. I think Cucurella has
Rolla
been
was
what
not
is
signed by
on.
them.
Oh,
He
he
was not
wasn't
signed
signed.
by them.
Okay, he wasn't signed by this new team.
No,
Okay, from Brighton, yeah.
yeah, I'm talking about people that they came in and then paid big money for. It has been only Caicedo, and even with Caicedo, it was predominantly last season. And then he started well this season, but he's been taking too many unnecessary cards of late, which again takes me back to Enzo Fernandez because he leaves Caicedo too exposed, and the guy has to overrun himself trying to cover so much ground. And Enzo Fernandez advances, but he can't score. So it's like, what are you doing in the team? You're advancing, you're not banging the goals, and then you're not also tracking back to help the guy who is doing a lot of the cleaning. So you leave him exposed, and what does he do? He rushes into challenges because over the course of time he gets tired too, and he's been playing with a knock for a very long time because he's been playing so many games.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just an unfortunate situation that the club finds itself in, and the kind of you can't say you're developing 10 players all at once. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So we're gonna go to the next team as well. A couple more teams we're gonna kind of delve deeper into before we take a look at the big picture, what we expect from next year. Let's go to Liverpool. Just to set it up, Liverpool is currently defending champions in the English Premier League, coming off of a fantastic first season for Anslot after Jurgen Klopp kind of retired, left, whichever way you want to actually take a look at it, or Pep sent him off, or something like that. So coming off of a fantastic first year, which he has bought himself a whole lot of leeway. You come into this season, you start the season better, a lot of money spent. You got Florian Wirtz coming in for a record transfer fee from Germany. We got Alexander Isak coming in for big fee as well. You got Hugo Ekitike starting the season well for Liverpool as well, bringing in Milos Kerkez. You got the Frimpong, Jeremy Frimpong also coming in. How do you view this current season? I think he's built a lot of equity.
I think any Liverpool fan that would say they didn't see this coming, I'll be very surprised. I get it. They have
Mm,
spent like big bucks on certain players and they expect them to play at a certain level, guaranteed. But you ask yourself, how many of these big back players are even from the league? I think it's about an equal split.
I think
Kekes
Isaac and Kerkez.
and Kekes are from the league, and then the others are from the Bundesliga. That is Ekitike, Frimpong, and Vets. Right? So to to fix what is not broken would show you a lot of deficiency that exists on your end. And that is what Slot is doing. And Liverpool historically is not known to be a club that sacks. They do not have a revolving door in terms of coaches. So that is also something he can bank on. And as you rightly mentioned, he has equity in the bank. He has won the league. So if he spends this much, give him time to figure things out. And I'm sure he eventually will. Right. So with the current dynamics and how things are playing out with the Liverpool team, they had it coming for them. If you're making this huge amount of changes to the first team squad, there's going to be a need for them to play together for some time and get acquainted as they play together as a unit. So it is all fair and good. As to whether they have the patience to see out this season as a lost cause and see how the current or the coming season would look, we'll leave that to time. This fracas that happened with the club and then Salah's rhetoric and everything as well, that can also be a strain on the team. But then what I see here is a coach that is trying to stamp his authority on the team and then have an identity of his own. Because I'm sure ourselves and even the viewers would admit that if you go into a workplace and the success you have enjoyed is being attributed to the person you took over from, you wouldn't. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You might play it off, but sometimes it's like, are you trying to tell me I'm not competent enough? And I think that is these are all suggestions, but that I believe is like the psychological play in view here, where he's trying to now stamp his authority on the team and then build an identity of his own, right? That gets to show that he's the one that owns this team.
Okay, so with Liverpool, for me, I think first of all, think they got too excited. The team that actually won the Premier League, they just got too excited and decided to splash money where it wasn't necessary. The offense wasn't necessarily the thing they needed to reinforce, but they have money to spend. They needed to make a splash. They just won the league. They wanted to get their fan base excited. You get Isak and you get Florian Wirtz. I think Ekitike was a good signing at the price that he was gotten. But the other two players, you want to make a big splash. You still got Mo Salah. You pay him a huge salary. But wanted to make a big splash and you forgot the real needs of the team. You bring two exciting wingers, Keke scoring goals for Bournemouth. You got Jeremy Frimpong for Bayer Leverkusen, but you forget that you needed to keep that defense tight. And they did nothing to improve the defense. Konate and Van Dijk is not a combination that probably wins you a league anymore. No backup players, no quality center backs, not going in to get the best center backs on the market, nothing like that. During the transfer window, I think they just got really excited, money to spend, and you find the biggest names in the block. I think this team defensively would struggle a lot, even though we're talking about these players offensively getting better. Kekes and Jeremy Frimpong are not going to be the defenders that helps you win leagues. Neither is Konate or Van Dijk getting any younger as well for this team. We're going to go to the next team on here. Fifth team we're going to be looking at, which is going to be Manchester United. I'm going to lay this out for you here. So Manchester United right now, they are currently, they are currently sixth position, 29 points in the Premier League. You got Amorim, who would say putting in some, at this moment, they're sixth position. I don't know how to put it. You look at how they finished last year, you say they're doing better this year. Is that the position they want to be? Not sure. They did get in Benjamin Sesko, they got Cunha and Brian Mbemo. So just want to find out how you think this team is doing so far. Are they on track to actually getting a much better team going forward? And of course, want to hear your reaction on how is Matheus Cunha doing at Manchester.
I think I'll start off by saying that looking at where Manchester was last season, this time of the year, and where they are currently, it's progress. As to whether this is the kind of progress their fans are looking for, that would be for them to manage their expectations. However, in terms of just pure league standing from the previous year to this one, they have made considerable progress. And they have grinded out some interesting wins here and there. And in certain games, they've shown themselves not to be capable enough just yet. As a team. And I think I can get the other part of it too, where there are some new players in the team who still have to get acquainted with how they play in general, right? So I think it's a 50-50 situation here. And based on my predictions I made even before the season started, Mbeumo has been a hit so far for them. Cunha scored in the last two games, but before then he had only scored once. And he's been terrible. And I knew what I was saying because I watch players when I watch teams play, and I even watch their so-called star players play. I do not watch them based on what the highlights say. I watch them based on context. And my sentiments have been quite consistent, especially when it comes to the so-called star players from Wolves. So there was Matheus Nunes that went to City. He's been a disaster. Pedro Neto that came to Chelsea, an absolute disaster.
Wouldn't you say Neto is having a good season this year for Chelsea?
He's a disaster. Pedro is having a situation where in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That is what we are seeing with Pedro Neto. And we had something similar with Willian. When there was a time when Hazard was off and Willian was playing as though he was possessed. That is what we are seeing with Pedro Neto. He's busy for nothing. And then the same is true for Cunha. Cunha plays not as a team player. He plays as though everything has to go through him. And I knew it was going to be a problem when he went to Manchester United because, again, nothing happens in Manchester without Bruno Fernandes. he's like the linchpin of the team, and you can't compete with Bruno Fernandes for that middle spot as like the main anchorman that drives how the team should play. And that is where he's gotten like considerable amounts of struggle, because he plays very with a very selfish undertone to him. And I knew it was going to be a challenge for him. Mbeumo is on the flank. 1-2-3, playing in Mbeumo gives you a goal. And that was how he played interchangeably with Wesa at Brentford. So if you see a player who's going to be a hit, it shouldn't be difficult to tell, or at least with how I watch players, I can easily tell who would be a hit and who would not be a hit. From almost every signing Chelsea made, I think the only question mark I had was with Cole Palmer, and I think almost everybody had question marks too, because he had never played extensively for City, so we just couldn't pinpoint whether he was good enough or
At the
otherwise.
high level, yeah.
Exactly. But if you are someone who has played consistently and I watch you, I don't watch you just for the fun of it. I watch you because I want to see how you function outside you being the big fish in the small pond. And that is what Cunha has been experiencing. Yes, he scored 2 goals in the last 2 games. But you ask if you ask the Manchester United fans whether what they were expecting is what they are getting, they would say no. And again, these are still early days. The season is still long. So maybe, just maybe, he might pick up a certain form, or Amorim will find a way to make him a useful outlet as well in the final third. But with Manchester United in general and then their season so far, I think if you were to ask the fans where they would want to see themselves on the league table at this point in time of the season, and you give them sixth, they'll take it, because it is just an indication that they are knocking on the top 4 or top 5 if they are to get their acts right. And so far, it seems to be stringing some wins here and there. They beat Newcastle, which is a big plus considering Newcastle's form over the past few seasons. Yes, this season they haven't been as good, but still beating Newcastle is more or less a plus, because they've had struggles with them over the past few seasons. Manchester is doing quite well, at least based on recent standards that has been reminiscent with the team over the past few years.
Oh yeah, sixth position. I don't know. A lot of Manchester United fans would have been looking at the bottom 10 and even trying to find some hope with that, whatever the case might be. But sixth position, you got Chelsea right there, you got Liverpool not too far off. So it depends on the fan you talk to for Manchester United about how they feel about how their season is going so far. So we're going to go to the next thing, which is how you view the English Premier League. Before we talk about the title race, okay, we're going to do this. Your top 4 teams and how you would rank the teams to finish up the season. We've seen about 18 games each team so far. That's pretty much half of the season. One more game before we go to half of the whole season in the English Premier League. Where do you see each team finishing the Premier League, sitting here at the midway point of the season?
I think from where I sit.
So we're going to start from first, and then we're going to go to
Man City wins the league.
Okay.
Arsenal comes second. I fancy Liverpool to take the 3rd spot. Aston Villa, and
yeah, we're gonna do 5 because you have 5 Champions League spots.
Yeah, Aston Villa and Chelsea might battle it out for the 4th position.
And then who will be 5th?
Like for the 4th and 5th.
So if you say battle it out, you're saying Aston Villa and Chelsea end up 4th and 5th.
Yes, and then Manchester United comes 6th.
6. So you're saying out of these teams right now in the top 6, Manchester United misses out on top 5 Champions League football next season.
From where I sit, yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll give my take there. I think Arsenal wins the league. They hold off. I think this team knows that this is it. Something is going to work out for them. They are going to put in blood, sweat, and tears, and I think somehow they're going to get rewarded this season. It might be a storybook ending. It might be very dramatic at the end. There might be a whole lot, But I see a team and a coach that has been second for a while. That's just something has to work out when you put in the work. And I kind of I would also be rooting for Arsenal to get it done as well. I see Man City coming in second on here. Aston Villa is interesting one. Aston Villa is currently 39 points. I don't know if they have the depth to do it. At this point, I would say Liverpool comes in third. I say Aston Villa comes in fourth, and Chelsea comes in fifth, and Man U narrowly missing. Me saying Man U narrowly missing is exactly what I hope for, not because that's exactly what I would hope for. Is Man U find a way and say, so at the end of the year, I want to hear we are close. We are very close. We are almost there. Just just one kick or a own goal. I just want to hear them be like very, very close, something like that. But Chelsea and Man U probably gunning for that fifth position by the end of the season and stuff like that. That's how I think that's going to play out. So after what we just said, I think it's interesting. But I also want to note, what do you think? Aston Villa looks like a top 5 lock, in my opinion, at this point. Just you can't trust Chelsea and Manchester United at this point, and Liverpool the way they are playing. But what's the chance that Aston Villa actually does give a title run here in the English Premier League? Because it's halfway through the season and they're 3 points off the table. So I think it's worth a conversation to ask. Do they have a chance?
I see them as Nottingham, like the season Nottingham had like a few seasons prior, or a few seasons back, sorry. They would push the boundaries for some time, but then their squad will be stretched because they are playing in Europe as well, right? And for all intents and purposes, I know if Emery knows he has a shot at winning the Europa League, he'll go for it because he's the most successful coach in that tournament, and it would be. I think it would be a good reward for the amount of work he's put in so far at Aston Villa. You look at the Aston Villa team, they are some of the results they've grinded out. You can just tell, the other team just weren't as efficient enough. And not to take anything away from them, but if they meet competent opposition, you can blow them out very quickly, right? So seeing how they have to rotate the squad, and a good chunk of their success hovers around a select number of players. There's Morgan Rogers, there is Oli Watkins, there is McGinn, there is Andre Onana sometimes, but not so much. Martinez.
There's Reconsa in defense, and
Martinez is like a big name, but there's constant. So they are. I think what we have to give Emery credit for is how he's built a unit. And then there is this Tielemans, but Tielemans is not like a world beater. If he's in a team, every now and then he gives you an odd good game here and there, but he's not someone you'd say who you can like wage your wagon on to lead you to the promised land, right? And some people might maybe try to do analogies like the Leicester City team. And this is like a side addition, but you look at the Leicester City team, there was like you could genuinely tell that Mahrez is a world-class player. Vardy was playing out of his mind. And then there was N'Golo Kante in the middle, who was sweeping almost everything visible. And then there was Kasper Schmeichel, who, of course, may not be a world-class goalkeeper, but he was above average, who could win you games at certain points. So
I would think Martinez is better than Kasper Schmeichel. Significantly.
Martinez, Schmeichel, I'll raise the two of them the same. But then
the
you look
same?
at Martinez,
Martinez is as good as any goalkeeper in the world. Goalkeeper differences in goalkeepers are resulting. Like I don't think Donnarumma is better than Martinez. I don't think. Like I look at the top goalkeepers, Thibaut Courtois. Is he really better than Martinez?
Martinez's equity comes from the national team, and we won't take anything away from him in that case. But then we have to put him under the microscope. Tournaments are 7 games. 7 game tournaments. I won't necessarily that we bought Enzo Fernandez on the grounds of a tournament, and we are now seeing the effects of it. He's good, but he's not that good, or maybe just maybe he has a ceiling that he's reached. All right, so I don't go off tournaments when it comes to assessing players. Give me a season long campaign, and then I assess you based on the season that you've played, and that is when I'll be like, okay, you are a solid goalkeeper. So again, that was just on the side, but yeah, looking
Yeah.
at the Aston Villa team, I think they would push the envelope a little, but they would fizzle out over the course of time, especially if they are to advance in Europe.
Yeah, I would agree as well. The team squad, the impact players for this team is very narrow. It doesn't take a lot for the season to unravel um, in general. So we're going to go into the Champions League here. I'm just going to take a look here at the top 8 teams in the Champions League with some notable teams down the table. So with a new format, every team is placed on one kind of chart. 36 teams, I think, in the UEFA Champions League. Just going to read it out here quickly. We got Arsenal, first place, 18 points, maximum points in Europe. 6 games played, 6 wins, no draws, no losses. Bayern Munich, 15 points. Second position, you got PSG, 13 points. Manchester City, fourth position, 13 points. Atalanta, 13 points as well. Inter Milan 12 points, Real Madrid 12 points, Atletico Madrid 12 points. You got Liverpool 12 points, they're ninth position, but just wanted to add them there. They're 12 points. So you would say all the usual names are up there in the standing. Maybe Atalanta, not so much. And then you got Barcelona 15th position with 10 points, Chelsea 10 points as well in 13th position. I would say those are the notable names we're looking at. So just to take a look at the Champions League here, Champions League as well got some incredible performers. Your usual suspects, you got Kylian Mbappe with 9 goals, Erling Haaland 6 goals, and Victor Osimhen for Galatasaray with 6 goals. Just to quickly look at the Champions League here, how do you? I would say a lot of the big names are close to the top here. It's going to be really competitive going to the end. Are there anything you're observing from any of the big boys in Europe that you're saying, oh, going into the new year, kind of looking at how she turned the corner last year to win it? Is there any team you're looking at and being like, it's going to be tough to beat this team?
I don't think there's a clear cut team like that has like an invincible aura around them. Almost every team looks beatable. Um, so I think it's a fair ground at this point, and things will shape out nicely. As it round of 32,
Yep.
was it round of yeah? I think things will start shaping out from that point because that is when the mental fortitude would start showing in terms of who who is up for the challenge, especially playing at this very very top level in Europe. So from where I sit looking, even the person topping the log is not strong to me, right? Which is Arsenal. They are not as strong to me. They are doing well. I'm taking anything away from them, but then Arsenal is just one good tactical game away from losing it, in my opinion. And I think when we get into the knockout stage, because I get to enjoy tournaments when in the knockout stage is better, because that is when you get to now it is less of how well you play and more of how good you are at playing tournaments. All right,
Oh,
and that
okay.
is where sometimes I fancy teams like Chelsea, Barcelona, um, Bayern Munich, because the, cometh the hour, cometh those teams. They know what those moments look like, and they give you moments as and when it matters most. Right. So for the time being, yeah, the league phase gives us at least a fair view on what the top teams in Europe look like. But then again, tournaments are non linear. So the way in which things might look on the table, just as last year proved to us, it won't play out that way when the knockout stage is underway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's the usual names here. I think this is going to be a fantastic uh, playoff round. All the big names are here. You're going to have to play the best players, the best coaches, whatever the case might be. So I'm just going to give just since we're in Europe, I'm going to list out the 3 top scorers in Europe, and you got to just pick one based on their performance, what you think the year might go, whatever you think. 19 goals, Ellen Haaland in English Premier League. 19 goals, Harry Kane in the German Bundesliga. 18 goals, Kylian Mbappe. You got to pick only one striker to lead the attack.
To lead my attack?
Yes.
No, anybody who knows me personally or knows, even my username on WhatsApp has Mbappe's name on it. So
so Mbappe is gonna, even when we got the every game scoring Harry Kane and Ellen Haaland, Mbappe is still gonna lead the attack on here.
No, I for full disclaimer, I am not making this suggestion based on facts. It is just sentiments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. That's the whole point.
So it's
all three options are fantastic anyway. In the leagues, they all have at least 18 goals. Anyway, just wanted to put that out here. I think those are the notable, fantastic players right now. So let's get to Africa here for a little bit before we get back. So the African World Cup qualifiers is almost done. DR Congo is going to have to face either Jamaica or New Caledonia. I don't know. New Caledonia is a country. Guys, you got to check it out in the geography. If you're listening, watching, New Caledonia is a country, I can assure you. I didn't make that up. It's not a state. It's a country. And that's DR Congo's part. There's going to be those qualifiers for Europe and the intercontinental qualifiers. Looking at African World Cup qualifiers, I would say the most notable thing is DR Congo knocked Nigeria out of the qualifiers. But we got all the teams representing Africa here. You got South Africa, Senegal, Ghana, South Africa already. So when you look at the African World Cup qualifiers and how that actually played out, any thoughts on it? And also, you got any plans to see any of the games for the World Cup?
I think firstly, my thoughts on the qualifiers for the African countries. I don't know. I think it's a fair representation. So far, the teams that have qualified and are going to represent the continent, I think they can all hold their own quite well. It's a shame Nigeria couldn't make it, given the amount of talent in the team, and at least per African standards, the big names they have in the team as well. It's just unfortunate they couldn't make it. But then again, it was a season-long qualifier. So if you're not able to beat what is in front of you, then we don't think you are deserving of playing at the global stage. So I won't talk about Nigeria in this sense. It's just unfortunate they couldn't get their act together and then qualify. But for those who have qualified, I think the Senegal, fantastic team. Ghana, I would have loved for Ghana to qualify for the ongoing AFCON as well, just so they can test themselves and sharpen themselves as well. Because I almost myself, being Ghanaian and any other Ghanaian I know, we are not as convinced about how good the team is, and having a tournament like the AFCON would have been at least one of the spaces where they can still sharpen the edges of the team and then at least build cohesion as a team as well. But it's just unfortunate Ghana couldn't qualify for the AFCON. But then I watched Senegal play, and it's like, yeah, this is a team that can hold its own against anybody in the world. They might lose certain games, maybe they'll lose based on maybe quality and what have you. But Senegal has like the personnel to push the barriers in certain instances, and Cote d'Ivoire as well has a very good team as well. So I think the African contingents are the best of the best that we have. And I'm looking forward to seeing. And I think South Africa over the past 3 to 4 years since Hugo Bros went there, they've been playing very, very good football. So I am looking to see how they hold their own as well in the upcoming World Cup too. And for the games,
I'm also looking at the North African countries. You got Algeria, you got Egypt, and you got Morocco. These countries have been holding their own down for a long time.
There's a reason why I didn't mention them, right? Because they come in, they play their champagne football. If you beat them, you beat them. But then they have the superstars to also upset certain teams. And if you're coming up against a world-class player in Salah, and then you have a very good player in Mamouche, right? These are just 2 players in the Egyptian team who can turn a game around. And then the same is true for Morocco as well, and the likes. So the world-class players I think there's a fair distribution of world-class players. Um, Maybe some of the teams in the sub-Saharan part do not have as many. Ghana doesn't have any world-class player yet. Senegal has a number of them. There's Mane there who can hold his own anywhere in the world. So with the representation, I think we have a sizable pool of talent to go and then at least win a couple of games around their belts and then possibly maybe play the round of 32. And for watching games,
Yeah.
Ghana is playing only one game in Canada. That is at least if we are using the group stages.
Is it in Vancouver or Toronto?
In Toronto.
Oh.
And they're playing against Panama. That is the first game that is Ghana's first game in the tournament.
That's Panama, right?
Yes, and I'll be going to Toronto on the day, but I won't be watching in the stadium. I think that there'll be more fun in the fan zones.
We'll be tailgating. It will be all day party tailgating at the stadiums.
Exactly. So I'd rather be amongst the fans and then just get the ambience from there, rather than be watching inside the stadium. I feel a good number of people would be in the fan zones than in the stadium. So it is one game I'm looking to. It looks like one of the winnable games for us in the group as well, because the other two games are against Croatia and then England. So
England, you people should win England, though. I don't know. There's no excuses for this thing. We cannot do, and the players don't come out there and show up. Anyway, Ghana.
That is why I wanted them to play the AFCON, so they can at least keep sharpening themselves.
Yeah. Oh no, that's which African country you think goes the farthest? Quick,
Senegal.
Just Senegal. Yeah. Okay. Well, Morocco was the last one, but yes, Senegal. I think Senegal has a pretty good shot. I like Senegal going to this World Cup as well. And who do you think wins the AFCON?
For the AFCON, I think so far the games I've watched, they're very, very interesting games, to be frank. The Cameroon Cote d'Ivoire game was, I think, by far one of the best so far that I've watched in the tournament. It's still very, 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 very early. But maybe my top three would be Morocco, Egypt, just because maybe Salah wants to prove a point. And Egypt, historically, you can't rule them out. This is their tournament. And I am torn between Cote d'Ivoire, since they are defending champions, and Senegal. But I'll go with Cote d'Ivoire because they have a very good coach.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting World Cup. All the teams you called there, I think Nigeria not going to the World Cup will be motivated to at least play with a little bit of pride, if they have one. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. But yes, I think the AFCON too will be a good stage to get African countries ready for the World Cup. So one bold prediction for the rest of the season, if you have any. Is there anything you've been watching around in the world of football and you're like, nobody sees this, but I like what I see, or I don't like what I see?
I think this is not a bold prediction, but I like what I'm seeing, which is with the resurgence of Kompany and at Bayern Munich.
Oh yeah,
right. He's a black, or he's a mixed race coach, and playing or coaching the most important institution in German football at the very highest level, and with the kinds of results he's raking in. I think because there was the French part of the internet that was talking about him being appointed because he was black.
Yep.
Right. That now DI is now getting into football, and then there's somebody who relegated Burnley, and he's now coaching like at the highest level with one of the biggest institutions in football, right, at the highest level. And I think this confirms a theory I have always had when it comes to how I watch football. Right? People might be in certain teams, but you watch them and you're like, no, there's something here. It just so happens that the personnel are not matching up with the vision. And that has been the revelation here for Kompany. People can argue, oh, it's Bayern Munich, the league is a given. But Tuchel went there. And Tuchel had to go down the wire for Dortmund to be as dumb enough not to win at home for them to win the league. And he was even very Tuchel felt ashamed when he won the league on during that season. The next season was disastrous for him. Alonso played him off the park. Right? So if it is easy, a world class coach like Tuchel could have done it. Could have swept things and it's not like Tuchel didn't have Kane. Tuchel had Kane too. Kane fired on all cylinders, but we weren't seeing results.
Yeah.
Right. So I am very, 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 very pleased for company. At least this is an investment in the bank for black coaches to come as well. And if company has done it, maybe let's give somebody else a chance and stick with them. Because what we've noticed, at least with the black coaches, have been that the coach at feeder clubs, right? So like Vieira, Crystal Palace was a good club he coached. He went to Strasbourg, and even the current Strasbourg coach too, he's mixed race, so there's black in there. And then Nuno Espirito Santo, I think the highest he went to was Spurs. He's now coaching West Ham. So there seems to be like a ceiling on how far black coaches can go, right? So to have company break that ceiling and then be coaching at the very highest level, and not just coaching, but grinding out like results. To me,
Yeah, it's not just coaching and getting by. They're playing fantastic football.
Solid performances and results.
Yeah. So yes,
So it's something
I
I think I want to draw attention to. It's
yeah,
not ordinary.
I share that sentiment about how they're playing this year. I think they're not just playing because we are better than everybody. They are playing because we got something that we have working here and it's really good. There's a system, there's a style to their offense. They bang in 3 or more goals like every single game. It's not easy to do on any level to consistently score 3 or more goals every week. The offense is clicking defensively. They hold their own. They're second right now in the Champions League. It doesn't seem like they go to Europe and fold at the moment. It's just to see how they finally end or finish up this season as well. So yes, I would share that sentiment as well. So we're going to wrap up and I'm going to go to the final question. So the listeners have been listening. The fans on the show have been tuning in. So we're going to go to a listener comment here on Instagram. Don't forget, if you have any comments, anything, you see any clips, you drop it in. So you did have a comment. I would say this was the last episode that we had, but you were talking about Lukaku being far away better than Osimhen, and JTK wanted to disagree. So he actually asked, and I'll just give you a chance to respond to it. He was like, "How now? Okay, so tell us why you think so." So this is for you, Danny. People are asking. Okay. Tell us why you think so, because Osimhen is better at headers, hold-up play, ball control, and offensive positioning. Yes, Lukaku is better at dribbling, and he's stronger. So 2 points for Lukaku. I think there were 4 main points, if you want to disagree with those, for Osimhen. But Osimhen overall is simply a better striker. So let's get a response to those points put out by JTK.
Okay, so I would like to first off thank JTK for his message and of course for disagreeing. That's the beauty of football, right? We all don't see things the same way, and when the two subjects are objectively very fantastic players in their own rights, it even makes the argument a little more difficult to make. So I appreciate his objection, but I equally disagree, right? And we get it. Osimhen seems to be the it thing now. So there's often that easy way to just seep into recency bias and then speak based on that. But historically, when we talk about strikers, right, strikers earn their badges through goals. Everything else that comes with them are added bonuses. There's a reason why, again, forgive me, I'm going slightly off tangent, but there's a reason why Chelsea fans are crying about Dila. He comes in, he's not delivering, and he's been erratic on the pitch. If he was scoring like Diego Costa came and was scoring and was still being a nuisance, would praise him. And the same is true for these two strikers I've mentioned. Thankfully, these two score goals. And I think personally, this is the most difficult department in the game. It is not easy to score goals. if you listen to footballers speak, those who eventually became defenders and midfielders and what have you, a good number of them started as strikers, but they just couldn't cut it there. And the currency of the game is goals. You can play all the defense you want to play. If they are not converting on the other end, I'm sorry.
You're not
Nobody will remember
winning
you.
matches. You're just not losing.
Nobody will remember you, or will remember you for the wrong reasons, right? So the biggest currency of the game is putting the ball at the back of the net, and these two seem to be very good at it. But historically, one has been better at it than the other, which is Lukaku. We can look at the genealogy of Lukaku from his days at Anderlecht to being signed by Chelsea. He came as a teenage kid. At Anderlecht, he blew things off the park over there. He was scoring insane numbers. And not like, oh, he's a kid, because again, he was objectively bigger than almost everybody he was playing against. So he could bully them and he was scoring like for fun. But then it's youth football, so we don't write that as much. He comes to Chelsea at 18. The Chelsea team at the time was not one that was designed for youth players, because there were big boys who had to earn their salaries, Drogba, Torres, and the likes. So he couldn't cut it as a young boy. He needed playtime. What did Chelsea do? They sent him to West Brom. And this young man scored 17 goals for West Brom. West Bromwich Albion, 17 goals. He came back from loan with a landmark hat-trick against Alex Ferguson in his final game. He came back to Chelsea. He was sold permanently for 24 million to Everton. He's by far, or he's still, Everton's all-time top scorer in the Premier League with 100 plus goals. He leaves Everton. Where does he go to? The Serie A. He blows the Serie A off the park. Like there was nothing close. And Osimhen was there at the time. He blows things off the park. He comes back to the Premier League. No, sorry. From Everton, he goes to Manchester United.
Yeah.
And you can ask any Manchester United fan. Yes, people laugh at him, his first start, blah, 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 blah. But you look at the number of goals he scored as against the number of games he played, it is not too far off. And then it shows how elite he is. The problem with Lukaku is he crumbles when the big moments need him. That has been his problem. But when it comes to giving you goals, because he has almost 400 goals, almost 400 career goals.
Yeah.
He's Belgium's all-time top scorer in every tournament and collectively, right? People would say, how old is Osimhen? How old is Lukaku? Which is fair, which is all plain and simple, fair game. But you ask yourself, how old is Haaland? But Haaland is knocking on the door of people who have scored X amount of goals in history. And he's only 22 or 20, 23 or 24. So age, yes, might be a factor, but it's not a defining thing. Historically, even in the Serie A, maybe that is where the two of them played. When Osimhen left and then Lukaku was sent to Napoli, he delivered the league again. Lukaku delivered the league and he was their top scorer.
Yeah, they both delivered leagues here at Napoli.
So what are we talking about? He's gone to your playground and then still bossed your playground, because that is Osimhen's claim to fame was the season they won the
Napoli. Yeah.
Yes, that was his claim to fame, where he scored, I think, 35 plus goals. Which we don't take anything away from him. Fantastic stuff. But then again, Lukaku did it with AC Milan. He went to Napoli, your background, where you were seen as a god, and he blew it off the park over there too with McTominay. Right? So on all fronts, I don't think there's no, you can talk, yeah, Osimhen is good with his head, blah 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 blah. Put your goals on the table. And where have you done them? Right? Oh, every team justifiably that Lukaku has played for. Even at Chelsea, in his second coming, it was the senseless interview he did that made him fall out of favor with the hierarchy. He scored 15 goals.
Yeah.
So Lukaku is a goal machine. He's a grand. He went to AS Roma. He delivered for Mourinho. So there's nowhere, there's nothing, there's no template or there's no parameter you'd want to use that would convince me. You can't convince me. And it's not like I'm being reluctant to being convinced.
Well, I guess Osimhen still has a a few more things to prove in his career, right? I would say longer than what Lukaku. Lukaku, you got the World Cup coming up next year, should be a fundamental part of that World Cup, right?
He's not injured, so we leave that to see whether he would pick
Okay,
up his form.
whether you'll be able to pick
Well,
it up and stuff like that. But that's an opportunity that you can add to your resume as well. The one thing that I would say about Lukaku is that I remember when Lukaku was at Everton in the Premier League in general, I've never seen somebody score more useless goals in my life.
which is fine.
I've never seen somebody when the game was 2-0. I'm telling you, you can back one for Lukaku to make it 3-0. And I'm not saying
But
that
what
I'm
do you
not saying
expect from a
that to
striker?
discredit him, but I've never seen somebody become stronger when everybody stops playing. I've never seen somebody. It used to amaze me. I used to always like it's 1-0, right? You're playing, you're trying to finish up the game. Lukaku has one goal in this game, or you're 2-0 up. Oh my goodness, I've never seen somebody score more goals. Like for real, and it could be a credit to him. He plays till the final whistle, right? Every other person thinks that the game is over. He sees what he needs to do to bag in more goals. But I have never seen somebody become stronger and faster when either his team is down 3-0 or he's up. Like it doesn't matter. Let's just say this goal does not matter to the game. And you're like, I'm passing the ball, I'm just chilling, and you just see Lukaku just goes and he's like banging like to go. Like it's a trait that I find I always found incredible, especially when I watched him more often in the Premier League. I've not watched him much with Napoli or since he kind of moved out as much, but that's one thing that he just becomes stronger. But as per a lot of people's criticism, I don't remember Lukaku having many like 1-0, 2-1 winning goal, big game kind of goals. I can remember many of those. Maybe in Napoli and when he was outside the Premier League, he had a few of those, but I don't remember it. In my opinion, Osimhen still has a lot to write in his striker. This Galatasaray thing just irks me. Like it just bothers me. Like it just throws me off. It's like 1 year. Like I don't know what to do with this 1 year. I like the 6 goals in the Champions League. That's quality competition. He's still a top striker. I'm not arguing that. I'm sure I know he's a top striker. But what are we going to do with whatever you achieve in Galatasaray in this 1 year? We know you're not going to probably win the Champions League. Like, what are we really going off of this 1 year, right? To kind of add to it. So I kind of understand that conversation. But JTK, you heard it here. You heard it.
Maybe let me correct myself too. I mentioned AC, but
Yeah,
Lukaku was
Inter
at
Milan, right? Yes. In my brain,
Inter.
I had Milan, so I just
Yeah.
kept working. But yes, I think you mentioned AC Milan, but it's actually Inter Milan,
Milan.
where he was banging in
I think
goals.
maybe one rounding thought, as you rightly mentioned, Lukaku has more goals in the Premier League than Didier Drogba.
Yeah,
Right.
he was
But one thing,
he was banging goals. I can't remember a lot of consequential goals. I know he was banging goals,
like,
and somebody correct me, but I would say every season Lukaku had about 7 to 10 goals, in my opinion, just following the league that were outside of crucial goals that happened. Either his team was up by more than 2 goals, or the team was down by 2 goals. Like I'm telling you, I've never seen like probably the last 20 minutes of the game. Like I've never seen somebody become stronger and defenders weaken. It just don't blow my mind. I remember it a lot with Everton. If Everton was up 2-0 or down 2-0, which was very possible either way, Lukaku turns to Superman. Like he was unstoppable. It's crazy.
that is the thing that is why I keep telling people the currency of the game is goals.
Yeah.
But then the elite get separated from those who score for fun, largely based on the moments.
Yeah.
Till date, we know Aguero has scored a lot of goals. But then we remember him for that 93rd or 94th minute goal.
Oh, yeah, the big goals matter, yeah.
Right. And for Drogba,
I remember Ramirez still today, a player that I actually criticize often and all the time, but I remember Ramirez's big goal.
Drogba gave you 10 goals in 11 finals.
Yes, absolutely. Oh no, we can't. I didn't even want to mention people like Drogba because that's obvious. I wanted to remember one person that many people would have forgotten, but actually had the big moment. Fernando Torres, he was a big player, but we don't remember the big goal too. But Ramirez
doesn't have too many moments like that.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic player at Liverpool, but he doesn't have too many moments.
Too many moments, yeah. But yeah, for Ramirez had that big moment that many players might forget, but it was a big moment as a player in a big stage in a big position. semi-final against Barcelona. So yes, absolutely. Anyway, I love that. And again, if you follow the show, if you watch the show, please leave your comments. If you agree, disagree with anything, anyway, you get to see the show. Leave the show for myself. CT, you can leave any questions, anything you agree, disagree. That's absolutely why we do this. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, JTK, for actually dropping that comment here that we can actually respond to. We're coming to the end of 2025. Any final words, Danny, before we wrap this all up?
Okay, so for my final words, I'd like to again wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year ahead. And I would equally like to thank everybody for the support, for tuning in almost every time that there's an upload, and just contributing to the conversations in the comment section, sharing them, um,
The videos.
reposting them, and what have you. And without the viewers, there's no
What
channel.
are we here?
And at the heart of what we are doing here is just two people who are passionate about the game discussing the game, and it won't be an enjoyable discussion if those in the comment sections are not
Engaging.
engaging. Hopefully, maybe in the coming year, we might handpick people from the comment section to tune in with us to, or possibly join.
I would absolutely love that. If you want to get in on here, that's the whole point of the thing is people that love watching football, talking football.
Exactly. And the whole aim is the concept is a beer parlor. So we are not, as you can see from my background, I'm not in like a sophisticated setup or no.
Yeah.
It's just beer parlor talk. Let's talk football like we talk in a game in a viewing center or in a pub, right? Where we share our opinions. Maybe a few things should be grounded in facts. By a
But
certain
most
case.
importantly, the passion of the game. We don't
Exactly.
lose that.
All right. You know what you're talking about. And this is what I'm looking forward to the coming year for. That we will be able to maybe shoot a little more
Yeah.
and keep the engagements going in the comment section. And then possibly keep building the channel and then reaching out to more people.
Absolutely. Yes, if you're, yeah, first of all, if you've watched up to this stage, I actually know and appreciate every single one of you. If you catch any of our clips on social media, please engage with the channel. We appreciate it. Let us know that you're actually listening and you are actually partaking in the conversation. Have any questions? You have any things you agree, you disagree, any things you want to touch on, you want to come on the show, you want to leave comments, whichever things work, reach out to the channel. That's the whole point of why we do this. I appreciate you, Danny, every single time. It's the end of another year, 2025. We're looking forward to 2026. Can't wait. It's going to be a fantastic year. It's a World Cup year. Once in every 4 years, we get excited. It's going to go down Ghana, Panama, in Toronto. It's going to go down. The tailgating is going to be, oh my Ghanaian brothers, I'm a free agent. The only reason I didn't talk too much was I'm waiting for recruitment, Senegal, Congo, if you could get there. I'm a free agent this period. Where do you want me to be? I'll be out here with you guys. Wishing all the African countries a fantastic World Cup coming up next year. We'll be out here supporting the African country. Nigeria might not be there, but want to see the African countries do well. It actually rubs off on Nigeria as well. Danny, thank you so much. That's another episode of Football Talk with myself. Be a Palo style. Peace. Hey.